feeling? What's the confidence level coming after 2 games in Utah? What is the confidence level of this team coming back home after a road trip like you just went on?
I certainly think we're in a good place. I also, I never get too confident. I just know you're only as good as your next game, and you can't let up in this league. And UCF just beat Colorado, who took us to the wire. So, I just don't think you ever get to show up in this league and win. I think you have to go out there and do what you do best to give yourself the best chance to win. So do I think, if you'd have asked me before the season started if we were sitting in the position we were in, if I would feel pretty good, yes. Would we have gotten to this 6-1, as I predicted? No. I don't think it looks exactly like, you think it might look. But I think, being good on the road is important when you're chasing your goals. And so we just, once again, want to hold home court. And sometimes there's less pressure on the road, and so you feel more pressure at home because you're supposed to win. So, your team has to step up to that challenge, for sure.
You've said before, I asked you before what makes Talia so good, and she's good at basketball. But it seems like when she is on, like she has been the last few weeks, the rest of the team is on. What is it about her that kind of allows the other roles on this team to kind of fill in correctly, if that makes any sense?
Well, I think one of the things that people probably have or have not figured out about me, but I guess I'm going to share it if they haven't. We're going to run a lot of stuff through our best scorers. And whether that was Nettie a year ago and getting to the point where we could play to and through her, whether it was Melissa Smith, I think we had a couple years where our balance was pretty, Bugs and Bella's freshman and sophomore years, that could ebb and flow. Certainly their freshman year, Sarah, when Sarah was good, we were good. And so I don't think there's any doubt that when you run a lot of actions and you trust the ball in somebody's hands, that when they're making shots, you can look pretty good, But I certainly think this team is learning that when they share the ball and get the ball to people in the right spot, I thought our first quarter execution against BYU might have been as good as any we've had all season in terms of them understanding the game plan, playing to mismatches, they're switching, a lot of the things that we had spent 2 days working on, they really executed. And so it's also learning to execute. But I certainly think Talia, yes, she's good at basketball, but she does a good job of reading, hey, we're in zoom action, they're switching, don't let the switch meet you, stay in that spot. And it takes 2 people, her making that read and us making that pass. But I think she understands the nuances of the game. And then when she gets going, she makes hard shots look easy. That was as nasty a double step back as I've probably ever seen in person. And, she can do a lot of things with the ball in her hands when she has space to do it.
Nikki, I think I know your 3-point field goal percentage defense is number 1 in the country, and it's historic.
That's like a jinx. Tony said that. Why are we talking about that? That's just a jinx. But
Has that been, I guess, a priority from the beginning, or has this just happened? Obviously you have the length on the wings and stuff. What's been the difference in that, I guess?
Well, I think there's 2 things that have always been key to our defense. Is our ability to protect the rim and take away the 3. In modern basketball, you have to protect the paint and you have to take away the 3. And if people are consistently taking shots in the mid-range or taking contested shots at the rim, contested shots at the arc, or the right people are taking the shots, which is always part of it as well, you have a chance to be really, really good. So I think those 2 things together, I think our length at the rim, our ability to switch certain things on the perimeter and keep a body in front of a body gives us a contest, and they've bought into it, and I challenged them yesterday, not knowing that stat. Truthfully, I'm not looking at national statistics, but, I told them, look, we've got to get better on the boards, because if teams are going to miss I mean, against Utah, they missed 80% of their shots. You know, a lot of games, it's 70% of their shots. And we don't turn people over a lot. Like, we are not a heavy, we're going to turn you over type team, which means they're going to get shots on goal. And when they're getting shots on goal, that gives them a lot of shots to rebound. If 7 out of every 10 shots, they have the ability to rebound, you know, we have to be really good at finishing possessions, because when we finish possessions, it gets us in transition. When we get in transition, you know, we become harder to guard. And so certainly it is a priority of ours. We want to take away the three. We play against a lot of teams that, you know, need the three ball to win. And in fact, most teams to some balanced degree need it to be good. We need it to be good. We don't live and die by it, but we're certainly better when we have balance. You know, but I would say it's that. It's protecting the rim and it's taking away the arc. And it's not fouling, you know. I mean, when you put people at the line, you put yourself in a bad predicament.
Kind of maybe playing off some of those numbers and scenarios you just talked about, with the team having the defensive production that it has, how much confidence does that give you that with that base defense you can kind of weather, whether it's Utah with a number of offensive rebounds or BYU at the stretch where they forced a lot of turnovers? Like, you can kind of weather, does it feel like what the game throws at you with that base defense?
In the moment, it's a little frustrating when we're turning the basketball over or we're missing shots. But I certainly know that every team has an identity, and I've got to own that identity as much as anybody else. And this is a team that, you know, I mean, maybe we have to win ugly sometimes, and that's okay. I've always said, having been a longtime defensive coordinator, even when I coached in the pros and was a head coach, you know, I think we beat one year Vegas like 102-98. And it was the most uncomfortable win I've ever been a part of in my life, because I just thought, we cannot get a stop. And at what point are we going to miss a shot? You know, so you felt that pressure. I'm way more confident in a game than we need to get a stop to win. And I've always been that way. We prioritize defense. We want to be good on both sides of the ball. It's frustrating when we're not. But you know, I do believe this team understands that they can get stops to win basketball games. And so that's an important thing. It's an important thing when you start talking about the Big 12 tournament and the NCAA tournament. You know, like you don't see a lot of teams. You can talk about how good UConn's offense is and some of these teams that are good year in and year out, but their defense is always top 10 in the country. So even though their offense and their offensive players and, you know, are pretty to watch, like, there aren't a lot of teams that usually make it a long ways without a solid foundation defensively.
We saw Nez with her debut and Esgoryanova with some minutes, particularly in the BYU game. What would you like to see from her as she kind of plays her way out of the injury and hopefully gets more opportunities?
Yeah, you know, right now she's the best passer in the gym, and she's most prone to turn it over. So I think her growth is going to be hit singles. You know, we talk about that a lot, but, you know, she's one of those players that can make really good passes and can find people. And, you know, but there's a time and place where, you know, we were going 5-on-5 against our guys yesterday, and she hit a three, then she got a steal, then she turned it over after the steal, then we got a stop, and then she turned it over. And it was just this, you know, you just saw the flashes of brilliance, and then okay, you haven't played in 2 years, you know. And so her growth is going to come in, you know, really understanding scheme. What are we looking for? You know, she's a capable defender. She's got quick hands, quick feet. She's hard to screen. You know, but I want to see her grow in terms of her, you know, her protecting the basketball, you know, and really understanding that, you know, and if you do make a mistake, you can't hang your head. You can't be demonstrative. You got to get back and make the next play. So that's going to be her biggest growth. We know she can shoot it. We know she can pass it. We just got to make sure she's passing it to the people on our team.
Coach
Coach, what's the challenge with UCF, and how well do you know Coach Messer, who was here previously?
Well, I tried to hire and she said no. And she goes back. She was actually recruited by my husband, who was the recruiting coordinator at Arkansas. So they go way back. So really good human, first and foremost. Obviously had a lot of success here and at LSU with Coach Mulkey. What do they present? I think they're a team that is good in the paint. You know, they win when they beat you in the paint, when they score at the rim. Not a team that shoots a lot of threes or relies much on the three. Leah Harmon, a transfer from Miami, has had 40 against Kansas. So they've got someone who can create. Yancey stepped up in their game against Colorado and made 6 threes. So, you know, I think they're kind of figuring things out like a lot of teams that had to go to the portal and really build their roster in the portal. But they defend. They're going to mix man and zone. I think they want to play more man than zone, but their zone's pretty good when they need to play it, and it was really effective against Colorado. But yeah, they want to create tempo and they want to score in the paint. That's the big thing. Either whether that's through their posts or their guards attacking the rim. You know, they want to get 2 feet in the paint as much as they can.
And Coach, we're not going to be able to talk to you before Houston, so can you also kind of give us that rundown on what you guys are doing to prepare for that Houston game as well?
Yeah, we're big one game at a time. You know, we'll prepare Friday and Saturday for Houston. I've certainly seen them because of common opponents. Very athletic. Also, you know, a team that needs to create stops, get in transition and get 2 feet in the paint. Both these opponents, you know, are not high volume 3-point shooting or 3-point making teams, but are athletic and can get in passing lanes and create turnovers. And so, yeah, I mean, I'll be a better answer to that on what we need to do on Friday. But really focused on Central Florida right now.
Nikki, you've talked before about Kyla's growth. Where have you seen her grow the most? I know she's got like 35 blocks, so I would think it would be on the defensive end, but where have you seen her grow the most, I guess?
Yeah, I think Kyla is a lot of it is confidence. She's a player that took a long time to really, you know, kind of understand that she could have a role and a significant one that was going to impact winning. She's our best screener, which is important. She probably illegal screens the most as well, which we're working on. But, you know, she has that presence. You know, but it's her rim protection. It's her tracking the ball. You know, both KJ and Kyla give us the ability to switch 3 through 5 at times because they can sit down and defend. They can defend smaller players at the arc, and if they get beat, they can run along their side and make it really hard for them to score. So when they play without fouling, they become difficult to score on. She understands. One of my favorite things about Kyla is she's our best recruiter. She's someone that has had a good experience, even though it's not been the same as Bugs. She's not been all conference. She's not, but she has had a real collegiate experience, and she's got a huge heart, a huge love for Baylor and our program, and she's continuing to get better and excited that she got another year, so that, you know, I felt like last year she was a freshman. And we started to see flashes because Nettie liked to get in foul trouble, you know, and so this year, you know, she has that regular role of being our first post off the bench. And when KJ was in foul trouble, you know, starting the second half against BYU, and, you know, she still misses some layups, but, you know, her pursuit on the offensive glass is really good. So I think it's those two things, creating extra possessions for us and then being good at the rim defensively.
I've seen Doug McNamee here a few times for women's games. Have you had any more conversations with him since he's been hired? And like, what are your hopes for, you know, the future of women's basketball at Baylor with him in charge?
Whew, that's a deep question.
That's what I like.
I have had multiple conversations with Doug, you know, and I think that, you know, his goal is for me to feel like women's basketball is a priority here. Obviously, it's a program that's had a lot of success for a long time. You know, I had to think back when they said this is the best record we've had through 20 games since I've been here, if that was really true. And it appears to be so, you know, and I just, you don't think about, it was like, wait, we started 14-0. We weren't 17-3 the one year, but I think every team finds their moments where they've had their hiccups. I think the unique thing about this year, we've had the strongest strength of schedule up until this point too, which is probably what makes it the most special to me with this group. You know, but I certainly think Doug is showing that he cares. And have we been able to dive into, like, what does that mean for my rev share number, or what does that mean? No, we're not there. But I think this idea of, I think he wants to see Baylor women's basketball continue to thrive. And, you know, it's a really crazy time in our sport, and in athletics in general. And I wouldn't wish his job on anyone, quite frankly. I think it's just a really, really challenging time. And so, you know, all the ways that we as coaches here at Baylor can also make his life easier, it's important, you know, because there's a lot of decisions to be made, and looks like the portal's going great for football. So I'm happy for that, because I think, you know, when football's good, it impacts all of us in a positive way. And so, you know, hopefully we're headed in that right direction. But I think at this point, it's just been a little bit more driven by, you know, a little bit get to know you, and then a little more specific asks that we've needed, timing wise, that aren't for public consumption. Thank you.
When's your Matt interview scheduled?
When's my what?
And I guess too, how proud are you of yourself for doing that in 3.5 years?
I'm very proud. I still technically have a 100-hour internship requirement that I have to fill, so not quite done yet, but I don't have to do another test, another assignment, anything like that, so very happy. But from a academic load standpoint, being at Baylor, being a student athlete in general is difficult, but a Baylor degree is a really big deal because the courses and the education that you get here, it's not easy. It's not a cakewalk at all. So having that kind of lifted off my chest, I'm so sorry you have a few more years of it, but you're going to get here too. But it'll definitely help me have extra time to focus on basketball, get a few more shots up, get some more reps, be able to watch more film, things like that. So definitely looking forward to that this semester.
Markella, y'all's three-point percentage defense is best in the country,
Yes.
kind of on a record pace. Did you see that as a priority right from the beginning? Was that preached to y'all? What's been the emphasis on defending the three, I guess?
Definitely. I think in the summer, since I'm new here, it was brought to me early, and to my surprise, how important defense is. Come from high school, for me, like, oh, you'd play defense, but here it's the standard. Like, defense is how you win tournaments, how you win games. So, no, yeah, it was preached early, and now that it helps that all of our practices and all of the running and all the discipline has helped us to do what we can show the world, and that's how great our defense is. So.
Bella, I think obviously you're really known in a lot of ways for your defense. What does it mean to you to be the kind of a defensive leader on the team and see the numbers and the way the team's playing defensively play so well?
To know that is my role and to see how well we've been doing this year is really special to me because I feel like that's something I've worked at a lot in my 4 years. The reason I played my freshman year is because I was a stronger guard that could guard some of the bigs in our league. Like, we've always had really good guards and bigs in our league. And to see over my 4 years the personal growth that I've had, and not only my ability to do that, but to help our team and to be able to lead our team in that way and kind of get us to the right spots. It's been super cool to see that and how it's paid off in our numbers. Nikki's a big stats person, and I think Tony is too. So for them to see that we're doing our job so well, it's nice. It's nice to know that all that hard work is paying off.
Marquez, you're playing a lot as a true freshman, really kind of thrown in the deep end. Bella and Bugs did as well as true freshmen, and you kind of go through all the ups and downs. Have you been able to learn from them anything about playing as a freshman and just kind of weathering all the things that come with learning at this level?
Yes, definitely. Definitely, for sure. Especially Bella and Bugs. I think that for them to be able to do that at that age, and as a freshman, that's incredible. And for me to be able to play this much, I'm super grateful, and I'm so glad that I get to play with them in their last year. Definitely learning a lot from them for sure on the ups and downs of being a freshman. So I would definitely say yes, for sure.
And she's doing amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
Markella, what was your mindset coming in early in that BYU game? I think Coach Collins said she asked you to go get rebounds, and that's kind of what you did. What was your mindset coming in? Have you had to figure out kind of do what you're asked, if that makes sense?
Yes. I'm just doing whatever I can to impact the team. If she wants rebounding, I'll rebound. Like, I'll go in there, I'll jump with everybody. But I think for me, my mindset was just trying to make an impact as soon as I get out there. No matter how much I play, it doesn't matter. I'm just glad to be included and to be on the court. And whatever I do, I just try to make an impact as quick as I can.
Bell, obviously coming back from Utah with 2 wins, you're tied for first in the conference, all of these things. How do you balance being confident without kind of getting lazy?
Oh, trust me, if you would have seen practice yesterday, we were not going to get lazy. We came in, we started out with ball handling and split up and did rebounding. I don't know what y'all were doing on the other end, but us bigs were rebounding, working on just being really strong. That's something that we've put an emphasis on is finishing possessions. We have really great 3-point percentage defense against all these teams, but sometimes they come up with O boards. So that's a concentration for us right now is finishing the possessions with the ball so that stop truly counts. But promise you there's no laziness within us. The coaches bring out the best in us every single day. And I would say in terms of being in first place, tied for first, it's important, but at the end of the day, we still have so many more games to play in conference. We just have to focus on each match and each game every single night as they come, and then hopefully we take care of business every time and end up on top.
Why are you guys so good on the road?
I don't know. I personally like to think this is really bad. I like to play on the road better than at home a little bit. I just feel like we concentrate more. Like when we're at home, it's like, okay, I might have 20 extra minutes to sit on my couch and chill before we come back after shoot around. But on the road, like we're in such a routine, and even those long stretches like we just had, we just are focused. Like, every ounce of energy that you have to be locked in. And I think we really tune in on our scouts. I think we do really, really well on the road. So I don't know if that's how you feel or not, Moo. But
Yeah, I think so too. I think on the road, like, it's just a more like feel of competition. You feel more like, okay, we're about to compete, and this
Yes.
isn't even where we're from. Like, this isn't even like our stepping stones. So I think it makes it more intense and fun.
Along those lines, talk about your defense and how good it is. Bella, you always hear the adage that defense travels. Is that part of it? I mean, you have that base foundation of playing really good defense, and that'll, carry you sometimes on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that's very true. You hear that saying, like you said, but also if certain other things don't travel, like defense has to be something that you can always fall back on, whether it's at home or not. If you can't get stops, you're not going to win. We'll find ways to score. We have too much talent, 1 through 12 of all of us, to not score the ball. So just being able to be tuned in is really important, and I do think our defense has really done well for us on the road.
This question is for either of you guys. Obviously, you guys are facing off with UCF and Houston coming up. What are some of the biggest challenges you think you'll face, and how do you guys expect to overcome them?
I would say just this upcoming game tomorrow, I would say definitely finishing possessions with rebounds. They get a lot of shots on goal. They play pretty fast. They look for the high-low. So I would say just being in our help side position, kind of making sure someone's beat, we're in like a scram situation, someone's stopping the ball, we're kind of flowing into our transition defense and getting stops, but also finishing with rebounds. I think the same thing goes for Houston. I think that they get a lot of looks and they take a lot of shots, so we just have to finish possessions with rebounds and play our usual solid defense, and we'll be all right.
And I feel like this question's been asked already, but we spoke to KJ a couple weeks ago, and she had mentioned that, like, Bella, you're kind of the cornerstone of this team. And, when Bella's not playing well, none of us are playing well. Or when Bella's doing great, we're all doing great. And that's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, especially, just in the game and getting your mentality right. How do you make sure that you have your mindset good so that you can help lead the team?
Well, first of all, I pray about it, or I take some time to just kind of reflect. I think that every night day that I'm given the opportunity to play basketball, it's a gift from God. Every talent that I have is from Him. So just being thankful and kind of finding some peace in that before anything happens, because I know no matter win or loss, I have eternal victory in Him, and so do my teammates too. But I would just say showing up and trying to be consistent. Everyone has days. Everyone has times when they're down or they're not feeling great, but you just kind of find strength in God and the people around you, and try to do the best that you can. Whenever I'm not playing well or I'm not shooting well, I know that every single one of my teammates is going to lift me up. They're going to say, hey, the next one's going in, keep shooting it, we need you to shoot, we need you to make plays, we need you to get stops. So just all those things combined make for a really special opportunity every time I step on the court.
For both of you, Talia obviously sucks up a lot of oxygen and focus on the court. She scores a lot, all these things. How does she make all of you better?
I think for me, for her to be a sophomore, I think it's something to look up to for sure. I think that she has a really, really good shot, a really good 3-level score ability. And for me, as someone that's upcoming, I think just like learning off of what she does and just figuring out different ways that I can get myself going, and just being a good defensive player as well. So just kind of balancing both, but no, yeah, great shot.
I think that she brings something really special we haven't had to this team. We've had so many special guards in the past, but Nikki has even said it, like, Talia is a professional scorer. She's going to figure out how to get the ball in the basket and also be a good teammate at the same time. So I think that just having her is such a huge asset, and things that maybe seem different on the court this year. We're all stepping into different roles. Even the people like Bugs and I who have been here for 4 years, our roles have shifted a little bit. So just being supportive and encouraging her, making sure that she knows, hey, we're behind you every shot that you take. And if there's any mess up, any sort of anything, we're all going to be here for you the same as she is for us. So just very thankful to have her as a teammate.
I guess if that's for you defensively and maybe Bugs can focus on rebound, having someone like that, does that make your job easier?
I would say so. I would say definitely on the offensive end in terms of productivity. Like one thing about me and Bugs is we're going to figure out how to get a bucket, especially if we need it. So having someone who also contributes consistently like Talia does on offense, it definitely makes those other roles that we're stepping into a lot easier for us to focus on that and not have to be like, okay, we have to do this, 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 and this and score. So. Sick 'em.
Thank you.